Hello, everyone. Welcome to Revelation Now. Today, we're going to be celebrating our 7th podcast. Number 7.
It's a big number in the Bible.
Revelation Now. 7 seals, 7 trumpets.
7 podcasts.
7 scrumpets.
Podcasts. And we want you to know that this series of podcasts is going to continue, because it's not just about the book of Revelation. That's part of it. It's foundational. But we're looking at the big picture of agenda in connection with last days and times. I mean, stuff that's interested me even from a kid, like angels, aliens, UFOs, demons, what gives, because a lot of this is becoming prominent.
Yes.
In the day we're living. It's not going away. It's growing. The communities of the UFO, the alien community is just huge. The Bigfoot, the Sasquatch. And a lot of it, you have to, what we're looking at, the question we're asking today is, what is the end of all this? The end game. And the word that I know comes up quite a bit is the word agenda. Like, what's the agenda? And I guess we could even ask that with God in the scriptures. Does he have an agenda and a plan? And we get into that part of it. So we were talking like Graham Hancock, right? We brought that up. He's a fellow on Netflix right now. We're talking about how things are growing. It was like the number one show there on Netflix for a while. And all he's talking about is ancient alien theories, ancient civilizations. What they're discovering is they keep getting older. Like, it's gone past the caveman era. Like they can't find the ugh.
The Genesis?
Yeah, where the man coming out just saying ugh. Like, they've discovered when the man was supposed to be, Uggin. They've got these incredible temples. They've got this incredible art.
Yeah.
You're like, it's not ugh.
Sure.
He's smart even way back when.
Yeah, G.K. Chesterton wrote a book called Everlasting Man that talks about that. That's incredible. I think he mentions in there maybe somewhere about how, like, I mean, even just the hammer.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Like, just the invention of the hammer. It's brilliant.
The wheel, that's pretty smart.
From the get.
Right.
Part of his theory is that the evolution of man, it's not a straight line. It's not like we are clearly so much more advanced now. There are times when people get advanced,
and then
they lose it.
Yeah.
Civilization falls apart. You start over.
I feel that from day to day sometimes.
Now you're starting over.
I just watched a thing.
So some of those old guys might actually have been a little more advanced.
Right. I watched a thing on Greenland. How Eric the Red, I forget, they know who started it, who, ended up, he was in exile. So he goes to Greenland, starts a Viking community. And this is, and at one point it was rolling. Like, there's about 5,000 residents now there living, and they've got their town going, and then next they're gone. It's like, what happened? Where'd they all go on that? That's what you're saying. It like built up, and they were living in below zero temperatures.
That was Greenland.
Yeah.
Maybe they disappeared on one
like
of those floating icebergs. Have you seen that on the news?
But they figured out how to live in tundra.
Yeah.
And prosper in it.
Yeah.
A lot of it had to do with the good old mammal, the cows and the different ones that they had brought with them. They were able to figure it out. But that's advanced. Living in the tundra.
Yeah.
A 5,000 member community rolling and going. But then they shot down. They went down. So we are continuing. Yes, sir. The podcast is going to keep rolling, talking about these subjects. And we did just end our series on Sunday, sermon series we did on Revelation Now. And we can talk some of that because we ended it with Endgame. And I don't think a lot of people understand the fullness of Revelation is good. Where it's headed is good.
Yeah, the ending is like super, super rad.
I mean, it's a big deal how
Yeah,
it goes into a new heaven, a new earth. And that doesn't mean heaven. But eventually,
and Jason and I were,
what's the agenda?
we were talking recently too about there's this like thing in our modern culture, this concept of heaven that's just really strange. Like you're just on a, you talked at Sunday too, you're just kind of on a cloud.
It's hard to grasp.
And there's
sometimes.
the big beard man dude that's in charge of everything.
Yeah.
And
There are these tropes with Christianity for some reason. I don't even know how. Because I work with kids, and kids already have them.
Yeah.
The clouds, the guy
Yeah.
with the big beard.
Yeah.
Like
But-
I think it's just in culture.
yeah.
Cultural references are
Comes in
always those
fast.
kind of caricatures, and it's effective. It never goes away for a lot of people.
It doesn't go
It's
away. And
so
as you get
stuck in your-
older, it becomes a mocking kind of thing.
Yeah.
A mocking kind of vibe with
Yeah.
like, you know,
Well, it's hard,
entertainers.
and it's hard to relate to.
talking
Like,
heads.
you feel like you're going to some place that doesn't have any emotion.
yeah.
Hard to
It's
explain.
not real.
No Wi-Fi.
It's you know, nobody messes up.
Were you saying that you're floating, and every once in a while somebody else pops up?
Yeah, pops
out of the
up.
cloud?
Oh, hey.
That
oh,
was
whoops.
in Heaven Can Wait. Remember, he's in heaven, and he's doing push-ups, and he's coming up out of the cloud and going back down because he was a quarterback.
Yeah.
He did that, and that was heaven. It was literally a cloud with an airplane
Right.
there that had a jet, like they had flown in.
I don't personally like it. There's been a bunch of shows about the afterlife, and there was one, Kristen Bell, I think, that was really popular.
Oh, The Good Life?
Something like
Good
that.
something?
Yeah, Reggie watched it, and she
I
said it got
didn't-
evil. It
I
just
didn't
got
like
off.
it
Not
be-
evil, it just got off to her.
Any of those representations, they're never going to be perfect, of course, but
Right.
they get stuck in you. They get stuck in your brain. They start coming back up like, oh, this is what that looks like. And it's like, no, I don't think it does.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Like,
Right.
spoiler alert out there. I think it was also like heaven was actually hell
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of thing.
right,
and,
right.
Yeah, like,
But I'm just,
which once again is that kind of just, I don't know, there's a little bit of a mocking
well, that's
to
part of
it.
the problem is going to popular culture to inform us about these
Yeah.
things.
When the Bible actually says quite differently. Like, I don't think we can even imagine like the scope and awesomeness of a new heavens and a new earth. Like, if this, like, I talk to my kid all the time, like when we talk about things like Revelation and the end game and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And at age 20, his whole outlook is like, but this world's awesome.
Yeah.
This life's beautiful. This is, what are you talking about? This is great. He doesn't necessarily always see everything in context of everything that's happening that's not so awesome on this beautiful planet. But if you think about the universe now and the scope and the incredibleness, like, what does a new version of that look like?
Right. I think it's Eden before the fall. They had trees, had a garden,
Right.
They had work.
had 4 rivers.
I think about it. in a-
4 rivers came out.
purpose
This is
and-
a huge estate. They were supposed to have dominion. Yeah.
Right. And those rivers flow out to the nations and bless everybody. And there's
And
life.
flow. Right. As in heaven, on earth, I think not only was man made in the image and likeness of God, mankind, male and female, made he them in his image and likeness. I think the whole thing was similar.
Mm.
Like the temple, when
Yeah.
God had Moses do the temple, he said, make it like the one
Yeah.
up here.
He gave him like a
Yeah. Give him a
the
blueprint
blueprint
of
and-
it.
which had a heavenly representation.
There's got to be some difference. Otherwise, it's just
I'm sure you got the small scale.
No,
big
absolutely.
scale.
That's what I'm saying.
Heaven Part 2 is
No.
down here. Like there was
Yeah.
something about this thing that was different.
Right.
He didn't just remake heaven in another place, I don't think.
No, there's just similar. I
There's-
think somehow we skip by where it talks about fields in heaven, trees and
Yeah.
roads and
Right.
countryside and city. you know,
Yeah, the realer than real aspect of it is how
and rivers.
I think of it. We talked in an earlier podcast about Lewis's Great Divorce.
Right.
That's how he likens it in that book. Like, the grass is so real it hurts your feet. like you were not used to that. Like, so there, it's the same and it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beyond our wildest dreams part. Where
We've gotten accustomed to it. Like I was saying Sunday.
not a cloud.
Yeah. I'm getting taken in by walking, being out in
Yeah.
the forests and the rivers, and even literally walking creeks and stuff. There's times when it'll just hit me that there's something there that's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
There's an element there that just grabs me, and I can't grab it. It's hard to explain. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I go to grab it, and it's just like goes through my fingers.
Yeah.
Like I know there's somebody behind this. I know it. I know it. There's such a beautiful spark to it. But then we have, what's happening right now with the heat and the storms, and it just seems whatever Adam did, the first thing God said, it's affected the planet.
Yeah, there's a groaning.
Yeah,
As Romans 8
something has
says.
an effect. We don't see it that way, but they see it running down with it. So this podcast, where we talking about end games, and one of the great things about the scriptures is there's a new beginning. There's a fresh start. That's an end game with God. I like that. That's an agenda to be able to start again. We've all experienced
End
that.
game, beginning game.
Yeah. The beginning of the end of the beginning, because it doesn't just end. It continues. Earth, right?
Right.
Am I wrong there? Or is
No,
it,
you are right. And it's the continuing part that I think captivates us. And the revelation, the revealings, and I think it's why we see so much in our popular culture right now that kind of leans to that, the supernatural, the unexplainable.
yeah.
There's so much right now in our current news cycles about UFOs and aliens and
Like what is
discoveries
happening
and-
right now with, they're even holding meetings, right? In Washington over it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Asking for full disclosure. No, is the government saying that they are disclosing?
It's weird. The whole thing is kind of weird because a lot of people think it's a distraction purposely to
Right.
from other political stuff.
Yeah,
So,
look over there.
Here, guys, look
Look over
we got
here.
aliens.
Oh, they're
Sure.
Don't
Yeah.
look at this corruption.
Right, and that's like the current thing. But for decades and decades and however many years, it's just been a prevalent theme.
Yeah.
And I remember back in the day, our brother Darren, I'd go watch X-Files with him. That was like his jam.
That was the best, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, it
When
was
he
like
was
the
into
100
X-Files.
seasons, and
Yeah.
and it was just incredible. So it's something that we just inherently are
It is
looking
innate.
for. It's this mystery. I know, Jeff, you've watched Bigfoot stuff before. You talked
Yeah.
on Sunday. There's that whole thing.
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch. Like, what is that? What is that? Is it a longing? Is it an unknowing? Is it a desire to understand what's...
It's all of the above that you're saying. It's this hide and seek with God.
I like that.
That Paul talked about even at Mars Hill, to the unknown God. I mean, you're reaching out, and I think that's part of it. And he said it because he wants you to reach out to him. That's so interesting. That just shows the realness of life, and how important it is, the decisions that we're making, the searchings, because we were set up to look for it. And that's what I think is important to understand for us, that part of me didn't getting into Revelation, I didn't want to get weighed down by we're talking agendas, right? End games. Because sometimes you can get into it, it can become a weight, a heaviness, the tribulations and the woe.
Destruction, judgment.
Yeah. But there is that, but there's a coming through it, though, to a whole new day. There is going to be peace. Like we read the verse, man, you could just feel it. Sunday when I read that verse, where's it at there? towards the end, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes.
Yeah.
There's an end game right there.
And that's
There shall be
an
no
inherent
more-
human longing.
Yeah, there shall be no more
I think,
death.
on a global level there.
I think when I was younger, these kind of verses weren't as attractive to me because, I've got forever. That's like talking about that, like death and all of those things and
Sure.
crying. When you're a kid and being well taken care of, you don't really haven't experienced wanting that life right there. No more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. That's Revelation 21:4.
I love that. And that's so cool because that's like new heavens and new earth, new creation talk. And Paul uses that exact same language for us individually of our in Christness. You are a new creation. Old things, former things have passed away.
I think part of it too is that that's part of the reason it's so vague. The afterlife, this other thing, like even a verse like that, like no sorrow, that is so intrinsically human. This experience we're having, I don't even know what that looks like.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you said, you want to grasp it, like it's grasping it.
Yeah.
That's what the other side is actually
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just getting little parts, and it gets tiring because you're like, I want to grab this thing. Why
Here we
is it
see-
keep slipping through my fingers?
Yeah. Because that's part of the test of it. It's believing. Not seeing yet believing anyways, like he said to Thomas.
I love that, Jason. Though it's just the human experience says otherwise, though.
Yeah.
It's what you know. There's a great line.
That's like what it is to be human.
There's a line in a song on the new Ben Folds record that I just love. It says, "This is such a short and sad and beautiful life." That's like that.
But
you
I
know?
mean, clearly, God's a person in the scriptures. He gets sad. It's not like he gets mad. He
Yeah.
he has
That's a human
emotions.
experience.
So it's just somehow learning how to live
Yeah.
properly.
But it's also tied into that justness part, though, that rightness, making wrongs right, wiping every tear away, and there's no more sorrow, and there's no more of that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a process. I mean, thousands of years heading towards this. And the scriptures use the terms like harvest, family, that type of agenda, that type of an end game.
Right. Well, and I think, too, another thing that's in the human consciousness is the end period, whether it's you're thinking on a universal scope or just individually, your
It's
own end.
The small, medium, and large
Yeah.
end of days.
End of days, exactly. It was so
Right.
good when you said that, Jason.
That's what I was saying.
That's like, we all know it. And that's one thing I love about Revelation 21 and 22 is 20, 21, 22, is that end game is hope filled. It's filled with hope. And I think
that's what it is.
there's a lot of end
like
games
in the woods there's that gets through my fingers. And for a moment, you see it's like
There is something else.
there is more
Yeah.
than this badness that's on this
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah.
And
There's good. There's peace. There's going to be a time where that's it, man.
Yeah, and I'm not
living in
knocking
that. There's a
anybody or
hope.
anything, but I think there's a lot of in-game consciousness in our world where it's just there isn't hope.
It's just constantly negative.
It's just nothingness. Like,
and
well,
like the Lord helped me to see a light side, LIGHT, to Revelation. And I know that there's quite a few Christians that probably they don't like that. I hate to say it that way, or they don't expect it. They're looking at the Antichrist and the mark of the beast and the wars and
they're like hungry for
and it's
justness and rightness,
and it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
But you could, if you stop, is what I'm saying. All you're going to end up in is this heaviness.
It doesn't end. It's not Empire Strikes Back ending.
Yeah.
It's Return of the Jedi.
It's like they should have kept it. That should have been the ending.
What should
the
have
bad
been?
news.
Oh.
The
Where-
bad.
No, where they get the awards at the end.
Just stopped
That
right there.
should have been it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go back to their homes and have their family, but no.
Yeah, but that's true to.
They don't have Revelation 21 and 22.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess God's agenda is how can I say it, Lord? That he's not going to end up running around putting out fires throughout the universe, if that makes sense. That's why I think this is the start. Genesis project is like we're in the beginning of it, to where one day it can be real, free will, and still be good. Things don't get messed up.
That
Like,
end game.
that type of end game. Like, there's coming a time on Earth where it can be consistent. And
Well, it's
being
funny you
right and
it's funny you
good and
mention that
just and
because-
peace and the flow.
a tension and a dynamic in the Christian faith is the now and not yet of Jesus's reign and rule and kingdom. Like, it's here, but it's not all the way here. And so there is that kind of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back element of that. One of my favorite things about the Lord of the Rings book, it's not in the movies, is after everything's great and wonderful, they go back to the Shire and it's still terrible. And they've got to live through that and process through that. And
As far as we're concerned, though, that's what really helped
Talking
me.
about
Was
now.
blessing, is how Revelation ends. It's not that we'll say I've read the back of the book and we win, or I've read the back of the book and God wins. Well, he actually won, like you're saying already.
yeah,
That's an already deal. But out of it, I mean, everything that I could tell, Satan and the whole deal is gonna get fully
To
taken
completion.
out. Fully taken out.
That's such double talk. He already won. But
It sounds doubly,
it's
don't it?
clearly it's not. We're clearly here experiencing this stuff.
I tell you, but I'm experiencing it personally. I guess you could say it like that. In Christ, it's a whole lot better than it was for me. I don't think I'd be here. That's just me.
No,
You know what I mean? That
I do,
victory
but there's
part.
there's a way of you can just look at the world. It's like this is not the end of Revelation. We're
Right.
not there.
that's why there's.
And Revelation is
Oh,
there.
I'm not saying
he
we're there.
still has to come back and finish.
I'm just
finish it
saying
up.
that we're talking in game.
Mhm.
It's easy as Christians to, even though we believe in heaven and we believe in like no more wipe every tear, we can get stuck that it's always going to be like this.
I think we're called to live as new creation people.
Yeah.
The new creation's here. And so we're heaven bringers wherever we are. We live at that intersection. Into Your Right says where heaven and earth overlap.
Yeah.
Even though, like Jason said, we look around, heaven's not here, not in completion. That day's coming, and we look and hope and anticipation for that, and we live right now in that power and in that belief and in that authority, but it's by faith.
Yeah.
And so that's the tension, and it's beautiful, and it, like Jeff just said, it's like I'm so grateful for it myself too, because without it,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be on planet Earth anymore.
It's not
Just
perfect
personally,
by any means, me.
but
Not
it's
but
definitely your faith walk and your
there's
faith
definitely
journey.
been
But-
better.
It's knowing
Yeah.
that end game is in sight, and it's that hope
Yeah.
of knowing what is
I want to
coming.
end up. I'm excited about that more than I was when I was younger. I'm just saying.
Sure,
that. And it's not I don't want to say it's a giving up to. Like I give up. You know.
we're getting older.
Yeah. But like I was golfing with Pops yesterday, and we haven't golfed in a while, and went out yesterday. That was a heaven moment.
Yeah,
There was
Sure.
a heaven moment there, with just he and I, my dad, and
yeah, you felt it,
Yeah.
and you feel it now.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
yeah. I'm sorry, guys. There was peace.
Yeah,
And I know he's up there in years, doing good. He's looking good. He came back. He's got it.
How was his swing?
Good.
Yeah.
He hit every fairway.
Nice.
That's why he was excited. He's like, we're going, and we're going tomorrow too. He's like, we're back out. But there was an element there where, boy, it don't get much better than this.
Sure.
A
It's an
piece,
overlap.
a piece between him and I,
It happens.
Glimpses of Eden.
Yeah.
and we're driving
exactly what
around
we're
looking at this
saying.
beautiful stuff.
And there's glimpses of hell.
and then I get in
in
the,
this life
then
as
I get in
well.
the truck and hear on the news about this dude that kidnapped this lady in
Sure.
Right.
Oregon and put her
Yeah.
in a cell, and I was like, what in the
Right.
world?
Yeah,
Right.
that's not heaven on earth.
Yeah.
That's
That's
not.
not-
A
There's
whole,
That's
Part of
not
it-
Jesus' reign and rule.
The way, because we've all been, all three of us and the church has been going through Revelations, but I've been trying to look at it through the Old Testament. To me, it starts in Genesis with that, with the when God is cursing Adam and Eve and the snake. There's a battle set up right there, and there's this other entity. There's this other thing influencing this world still.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, something is wacky
God
going
of
on.
his will.
So there's part of Revelation, to me, it's liberation. It's a liberation, like a violent liberation that has to happen. And the work that Jesus did, it was like a sneak attack to get people out of the way.
yeah.
It's almost like, before they bomb, sometimes they'll do leaflets, let everybody know,
What's like
Right.
get out of town.
Galatians 1, he's rescued
I'm
us
gonna
from
take
this
this
present
thing
evil
out.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, it's totally there. There is a part of us that wants to be liberated. You
Sure.
So there is a fight there. There is like,
And how amazing is it that we have a God who wants to liberate us?
yeah,
Like, what a gift. That's awesome.
yeah.
He's for the end game too.
Yeah.
He's for a good outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you see all throughout the book of Revelation is this continued offer
He
to
doesn't
repent.
like it.
But you see it. That was my point.
And
You
to-
see it through the whole
and to say no.
Bible. Every time there is this. There is like a liberation and a grace, but also judgment at the same time.
Like Pharaoh.
Over and over and over with Noah. It's
Yeah.
the same, with Cain and Abel. There's like judgment and also like grace.
Yeah.
Same exact time.
Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
We're going to cover you up and
Tower of Babel.
yeah.
They're all types of end games. This is just we're talking about end,
Yeah, capital E.
the big one.
The
It sure does end.
the big one.
The big one does end good. Like the reason I think I'm getting this, like I was saying, when you get into Revelation, if you don't watch it, you can get under a heaviness. Just not even because of Revelation, just in general, just this life, and think that perhaps, like Brother Hagin would say, that the core of the universe is messed up. You can start thinking God's messed up.
Yeah.
Is this all there is? And it's not. Number one, it's not all there is. You can, whatsoever things are good, think on these things.
Yeah.
Like I just said, I just spent 2 hours in good with my dad there on the golf course,
Yeah.
and being thankful and grateful too. That's a big part of not getting under the heaviness. Like you were saying, not getting under the darkness of this world, is to be thankful for the good that you do have and the good that you have
Yeah.
experienced.
And it's not to ignore it either.
And that, no.
It's to actually fight.
I went line upon line in Revelation, and it is there. The
fighting.
the judgment part.
Yeah,
Some
and the
of it, I
fighting,
think, it's
the
not just
overcoming.
it's not just God. It's just self-made. A lot of that's going on, and then there is the standing your ground and coming through and triumphing. And
Oh my gosh, I love the letter of the Hebrews. It's just incredible, start to finish. It's all about that persevering and overcoming.
Yeah. For why? For what? Where are we headed? What's the end?
Yeah, what's the point?
We want it
What's
just to be swatted out. Boom. Under the judgment part of it.
I think all those elements kind of coalesce in Revelations. That's why it's such a popular topic, But you see all the things you're talking about, like angels, UFOs,
Uh-huh.
apocalypse.
Even that?
Like even
Yeah.
we're talking about Graham
Unexplainable.
Hancock. His whole thing is that there was advanced ancient civilizations. They got took out by a meteor.
Yeah.
Set us back.
Yeah.
We had to do a restart. But some of those guys stuck around,
Mhm.
lived through it.
Through
Yeah.
the medium.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they helped
Yeah.
start over.
Yeah. And
the new
there's in the
civilization.
Christian, there's a certain Bible scholars who say, well, it's not at that. It was the flood. The flood took out all the ancient stuff. And then you got the pre-Adamite folk that would say they got flooded too before Adam and Eve. There's a whole ancient deal because Graham Hancock's datings go back pre-Adamite.
It keeps having
Quote.
to go back further.
Yeah, they just keep going back and keep going back and keep going back with it. But it's still, what's he trying to do? You know, he's trying to shake it up.
Yeah. What is he and,
And
we
he talks about
trying
the
to figure
mystery
out?
of it. Yeah.
Well, first of all, it changed the narrative, like the linear narrative of evolved people.
Yeah.
That we are the pinnacle. We
Yeah.
have arrived somehow. We're way more advanced than these old
like
silly people. And we talk about this all the time with
Right,
with the
right.
Bible, that people dismiss it as these silly myths and all that kind of. And I get it. I understand that. But they're totally missing
No, it's just
how
the way
incredibly genius
yeah.
the scriptures are. And like whoever wrote this was not a dummy, like. So there's that part of it. And, the story of humans.
It's funny
where we came from.
If you think about it too, you see it through the Hebrew Bible, through the Old Testament. You see that arc, the up and down, up a mountain, down, up, rise, fall,
Right.
rise, fall, rise, fall.
Yeah.
You see what the giving the law. All right, instantly worship the golden calves.
And I think it's technology.
Noah's the same thing. The flood, bam, down at the bottom. Noah, the top of the ark, the mountain, rescue, new beginnings, plant a vineyard. Wow, right back down.
Yeah.
Just ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But that's what came alive to me this time looking through Revelation. That God really is headed towards an element where it's more consistent, the good.
Yeah, well,
That it's not that the up and down is going to lead to being able to stay up.
so I mentioned earlier about
With
living,
real people,
living
if
now.
that makes sense.
Living now as new creation people. I think it's like a rehearsal for that age to come.
Yeah.
So that you can live into that goodness.
Yeah.
Like you start now, and so you kind of hit the ground running because
Yeah.
it's going to be what you're saying, where that all that other stuff has been removed.
Yeah.
It's been removed and it's been pulled out of it. And like we were saying earlier,
hearts
it's
are
hard for us
consistent.
to understand that right now because we live in it 24/7.
It's
Yeah,
also,
like you're never going to stub your toe in heaven.
well, there's also, Revelations is, for those who overcome, those who endure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a part
Yeah.
of it that is like, hang on.
Yeah. and I think about all the time, like, because we're all pastors and we're called to equip the saints for the work of the
Mhm.
ministry and to build them up. And, what's the point? What's the point of doing all this stuff?
Yeah.
If it's just this all going to be hit the erase reset button. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Is you live now as if you're in that future glory.
We're gonna those longings for the other. We really are gonna hit it. Sooner or later, it's gonna be worth it. That's those little parts of the end game. Like there's another life.
And I think
There
I
really
think
is
that is
another life. And we've known it forever. It's where the Egyptian Book of the Dead. That's where all those ancient folks, they get used to this life and start thinking there's more. And they're right.
Ancient aliens,
They're right.
UFOs.
yeah.
They're all reaching out for there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more. And
Sasquatch.
Romans 1 says there is.
Well, there's part of the Christianity personally why it resonates. It deals with all of it.
Yeah.
It's not overly fluffy, and it's not just all gloom and doom. It's just
No.
not. But it's all there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
There's meat and potatoes on both sides.
yeah. And I think the part you're talking about, the end game, like hope.
I enjoyed the I was blessed by the end game of Revelation this time around more than I've ever been. That's my point.
I think the hope part is super important.
It was
Because like you're saying, what's the point?
Yeah.
like I've experienced some things in this life where I'm like, I don't want that anymore. I don't want to experience that ever again. I'd be just fine if I didn't have to experience that.
Yeah, it's
The death of loved ones,
Yeah.
or
Well, just
not understanding why someone's passed on,
and detach and disengage from this life, because what's the point?
or messing up.
Why does it matter?
Like you're super committed and you mess up, and you got to be super
And
committed.
I think no,
again.
you live in that hope, and you try and you do your best by faith to pull that future into the
Yeah.
present.
Yeah, that's my hope. Like he even talks about it too, Paul in Corinthians. If we just had hope for this life, that's pretty vain. There's nothing there. I mean, what he was saying is, if this life ends and we cease to exist, eat, drink, be merry. Remember he says that?
Yeah.
For tomorrow, when he says for tomorrow we die, he means for tomorrow we're out.
And I'll be
But
honest.
that's not true.
I've thought about that before, because I've come from a recovered addict.
Yeah.
And, like, if this life is meaningless, exactly what Paul just said, like, are you just missing out on a big party opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
it's not.
And that's why this time
not-
I'm like, yes, I was just so blessed.
But it's not the case.
Yes, and we're going to just keep
And it's
talking
destruction,
it.
too.
We're going to keep talking
Well, that
on this series. We want this series to have that hope element, because that's the whole reason I find myself getting caught up, even watching a Sasquatch thing or UFO deal. A lot of it, because that's our theme, Revelation now, reveal what's going on, what's behind the scenes. And we're going to keep some of it gets dark in those communities, and there's there's a conspiracy around everything, and that stuff can get you in fear and it can get you weighed down.
There's very little hope.
Yes, God is not the God of fear. He's not the God of chaos, and where we're headed, it's good. And it's blessed. And you can experience that inwardly too. Right now, like you're talking about the new creation, the peace of God. You can experience it now, where you have tastes of it with it. And that was just important for me. Once again, I call it like a little drop. Every once in a while, like a little drop will hit me of the reality of heaven and stuff.
Yeah, I had
Like a little drop, and I remember one time I had to ask the Lord to turn it off. I couldn't take it.
Too much.
It was just so incredible. Like, wow, this yeah.
I had a similar experience where, because the vagueness of it really started to bother me.
Yeah.
If this is my great hope that I'm trying to base my whole life on, and I can't picture it,
Yeah.
like that's a big problem. Like that's not, and I think for a lot of people, if they're really honest, that is the case.
Right.
That's why it's so hard, is because the
Full
hope
circle
is
back to clouds and
yes, exactly.
bearded.
The hope has
grandpa.
really been infected with this vague, cloudy.
That's what was so
thing.
awesome about
Yeah.
some of the stories.
So right.
That's the big takeaway from some of these near-death experience deal. They get blown away that it's real.
Yeah.
They come back. That's the thing that they're like,
I've been lied to.
it's real. It's like they're just on. I think this life, like, even though they've experienced that, you kind of go back into it.
You do. I think it's your
and
natural.
you lose it.
Your natural.
Like you can
thing.
lose, even if you've like even Paul had a heaven experience.
Yeah.
Then he goes on and he's shipwrecked and
Yeah.
Totally. Look at
and
the
he's
life.
and
look
he's
at the
bummed.
life-
There's a couple times where the Lord's brought him out of not having sorrow upon sorrow, and he experienced heaven.
As always, our best example is Jesus. Look at him. He lived a real flesh and blood life
Yeah.
with struggle buckets galore and persecution, and he was crucified. And even in that life, he's healing people. He's bringing heaven to earth.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have the resurrected body, which we're talking about too.
Yes,
The firstborn
there's
from the
another
dead.
thing.
Because you're talking about, Jason, about, I don't think it's going to be the same, like copies. You know, there's going to be some differences. I think about that all the time. Like they recognized him, but they didn't recognize him. Like, he's like
Shapeshifter.
walks with two of them for however many miles and
Right.
opens the whole scriptures up and just like, and I think about Thomas too. Like, I mean, he spent all that time with him
Yeah.
and still said, let me put my fingers in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I prayed. I was trying to tell this. I had to speak about it. I was trying to speak about heaven. Like I had to teach about it.
Right.
I'm like, I can't do this because this is too not real. This is not cool. I'm just gonna act like this, have this great hope in some kind of thing. So I prayed about it, and God gave me 3 instances, and I'll do it quick. The first one was,
Oh, that's good.
he
Go for
said,
it.
look at a little kid playing. A little kid playing.
Mhm.
That was the first one. A kid just lost in imagination and play, not
Sweet.
a care in the world, running
Yeah.
around. He said, it's like that.
Yeah.
The second one was there's a passage in Zechariah. It's a prophecy, which is, how prophecies are weird. It already happened, but it's
Yeah.
for then and
For
for
them,
now
but
and for the future.
Later too.
But he's talking about how when they'll come back to Jerusalem, and he's prophesying. He says, you'll all have your own fields and your own vineyards where you'll be with your friends entertaining people.
Oh wow.
That was the other one that came to me.
Hosting a
So
party.
you'll have a party at your place
Yeah.
with your friends and your family.
Yeah.
And the third one was I had just seen at the Cosi, they have a planetarium, and they do this big, it's called dark matter, I think, Neil deGrasse, but it gives you this crazy expanding view of the universe where it just keeps going out and out and out, and it's just like blows your mind. And that was the last one was that all that's it. All that is to be inhabited. All that's going to be need to be taken.
The dark
Yeah.
matter.
No, the universe.
The universe. Yeah.
Universe.
All the
That's-
star, and it reminds me of Abraham. I think he's saying
Look at the stars and
literally.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is
That's
the
good,
work
man.
for you to do.
Yeah.
You'll have a job.
Yeah.
Like that's what he said.
Cosmic and scope.
You'll have
Yeah.
a cosmic job and scope.
Adam
like,
and Eve were given the planet.
Exactly. They had a job to do. Like you're not just floating on a cloud.
No.
There's cool
That's
work
what I'm
and
saying.
things to do. Like,
Genesis is the beginning of the habitable planets.
yeah.
The rest is coming, but this one has to run its course first, because out of it is coming the ruling and the reigning, the real choices that has been made, the character, the heart that's going to stay consistent and go forth. Boy, we can just keep going on that one.
Yeah.
Let's end on Jason.
Beginning
That was
game,
really
end
good.
game, yeah.
So let me read this because you mentioned Hebrews, and I thought of this. And today's theme has been in games. Agenda isn't the word that's popular in these communities. Where is it all headed? Or what do these beings have? Why are they doing what they're doing? What's the agenda of this stuff? As believers, as Christians, we believe God has a purpose and an agenda too. And we believe that's what was good about Revelation, going through it. As we continue in this podcast, we're just going to talk about there is hope. There is light. There is good. And it's real. And we are going to fully experience it one day. You can in this life, you have to be there, right? You can have the seed of it, the new creation seed in your heart, and to know Jesus and as Lord. But here was the part here. It says, therefore we also, Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, I can think of some witnesses right now. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Now notice, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him, he looked out and he saw the no more tears. He saw the no more pain. He saw the hanging out at your place and having the party and having the friends
Your
over.
vineyard.
Yeah, he saw the joy, that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. God's end game is joy. Yeah. Hey, we'll see you again. This was our celebrating 7th episode. Good job, guys. We got many more to come. See you again next one.